question that we also maybe to put together with that, I ask is that what are some of maybe the new developments that are happening in that sector?
Well, in developing economies, we have limited infrastructure, so we cannot simply buy our way out of these threats with expensive or proprietary defense systems. So we have to be resourceful. We would then need to lean heavily in regional cooperation like the SADC frameworks so we are able to share threat intelligence. So if a malicious AI campaign hits the region, we should know about it instantly through these shared feeds. It's more about putting our limited resources to build a collective early warning system, so to say. It's far more effective than trying to patch holes alone.
Yeah, now looking at Namibia, maybe what are some of the key things that you are saying they are really happening, particularly with artificial intelligence? We know it has been used in education. There has been debate between professors and also students. And what other elements, what other sectors do you think AI is being used, especially looking? Yeah, Rahab, let us look at the new challenges that are brought by AI, such as, job losses, challenges of identifying human intelligence. What do you say about these challenges that are brought by artificial intelligence?
There's a critical challenge, and specifically regarding jobs, that concern is valid. But AI is excellent at automating the redundant tasks, and which have historically served as the entry point for juniors, which makes the career ladder even so much harder to climb. However, I believe that we shouldn't just focus on displacement. We need to shift workers from being executors to orchestrators. So while AI can generate code or analyze data or build a business plan for you, it lacks genuine creativity and empathy as well, which are all human factors, and also the ability to apply cultural context, all these things. So those things are still vital to the real world decision making. So the goal is to keep humans in the loop, using AI to amplify it and also use our judgment rather than replacing human output.
Yeah, because people are scared to say at some point we find ourselves we don't even have works to do. It's just robots that are doing the job. Is that really true?
In a sense, yes, there is a bit of over-reliance on AI that I have come up.
Yeah, let us look at the UNSG, who spoke about the uncontrollable AI and especially their impact on environment, and also to look at the re-regulations. When you speak about the regulations of AI, is Namibia having full control of artificial intelligence, or we are just waiting from advanced economies? Do we have full control in terms of regulations and in terms of managing AI too? Do we understand the whole context of it, and how can it be applied within the legal framework of Namibia?
To be direct, no, Namibia doesn't have full control over AI regulation yet. But we are currently in a transition phase. So right now we don't have a dedicated AI Act that would set hard boundaries like the risk tiers for algorithms, let's say, or mandatory licensing for developers. Instead, we are operating under a mix of existing constitutional protections and sector-specific rules, and also cybersecurity frameworks. So while these provide guardrails, they weren't necessarily designed with generative AI or autonomous systems in mind. So there's a gray area.
Yeah. Now let us look at the aspect of criminal activities. We have seen in the past 2 years the aspect of Namibia being attacked, especially with cyber attacks. But I want to look at the context of what UNSG have spoken about, especially looking at AI usage in the military and also in criminal activities. Now, somebody may want to know to say, a developing economy such as Namibia, which has already been identified to a poor infrastructure when it comes to AI, what do you think we can do at this point in time, especially to deal with those challenges that are impacting our industry that we cannot really control over due to the aspect of having a lot of criminals with advanced technical skills? What do you think we can really do, especially as Namibians?
I think it's more about pooling our resources to be able to a collective early warning system to say, because that's far more effective than trying to patch holes alone. And then also there's another aspect of it of getting talent over hardware, because at the end of the day, an AI is only as good as the person pointing it. So we don't need a huge data center. We just need a core of brilliant and locally trained security engineers who can spot the inconsistencies in the data and they're able to flag it immediately.
Yeah. Are we doing enough in terms of catching up with fast and advancing of AI? Are we doing enough either in school, either in defending our walls, either in using AI to build or to innovate? Are we doing enough as Namibians, or we are just using it for Google? Because other people, they only know AI when you speak about Googling right information or maybe comparing data. From where you are standing as an AI developer, do you think Namibia is doing enough to catch up with the world?
I would say we are stuck in between, because on one side there's hesitation, and then on the other side there's also an over-reliance. So not just us in tech. So on the one side there's fear, and then the other side is also job security. So I would say no, we are not using it to its fullest.
Yeah, just your last word regarding technology and innovation. When technology came, you know, we hear stories that the first radio which came, people ran away. Some they broke it. Some they were running away from a TV. Now we are no more at that level. We are in the area of robotics. In your view, especially where you still have a group of people that are saying no, artificial intelligence is bringing a lot of problems, technological advancement will bring chaos in the environment, maybe we should stop it. Are we really able to manage it if you look at 10 years ahead, and if we get AI out of control? What do you really think will happen? Are we able to catch up as humanity? I know you are an AI developer and you are in that space, but are we really able to catch up looking into the future?
Yes, looking into the future, I believe we can, because right now there is training out there. We have access to resources to give ourselves the knowledge to catch up. So I believe in 10 years also the builds and frameworks would be in place for this.
Yes, Rahab, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your input, and thank you again.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, cool. Yeah, that was Rahab Mukirai, especially looking at governance, management, and controlling of artificial intelligence, which is developing at a fast pace. And the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres indicated that developing economies are disadvantaged, especially when you speak about data centers, when you speak about having less say when it comes to artificial intelligence. He also indicated the aspect of controlling of the narrative and also influence that artificial intelligence has on human beings. And also spoke about technological use, especially when it comes to robotics and also warfare, to say a human being should be the one who has a final say when it comes to the matter of life and death, and not a robot. So let us look at the short commercial break and come back shortly, especially when you're going to look at the Child's Project. We're going to listen to United Nations Resident Coordinator, that is Madam Hoplang Pololo, especially to look at the initiative that is in collaboration with the Ministry of Environment, especially looking at new developments in Namibia and also bringing closer Namibia when it comes to implementation of sustainable developmental goals. Stay tuned. We are here until the hour of 1400 hours.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I am planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Sime, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional, and church events. And basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
Want to know about Namibia's latest business and economic news? Then look no further than The Villager newspaper. The Villager is an e-paper that is published every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for free, directly to your phone or computer. To become a subscriber, simply send a WhatsApp message with your number and email address to 081 200 4144. Be sure to save the phone number as a contact. The Villager, wherever you are.
Lipuranengeno wapumbwa eva tere ulikoni maundu tutoingida ashike kapeno nweku dite opoye ekukulile oshafafana nongeshe faili meholamo ihoetike kovano ile koshiwana onongeshefa yapumbwa kukaraya kovano okupitiramo Eagle FM otuna ebitoda njuka okukwetera oipindi konu kondado inawa nuneudo otukwetera o special ngeta shake ngeshefa omarudi dayo loka opone ushendi fenawa nokumona oijamo ili nawa ningepata fanona Monica ko Eagle FM onora etatu imwe bali heali nola natu heali bali no heali ile ko berewa nora hetatu natu bali o hetatu batatu o mafelane Eagle FM the eye.
The views and opinions expressed by our guests and callers are not those of Eagle FM and any
While you are
of its
busy
staff.
enjoying your lunch, while you are busy having some times from 1300 hours, take time and listen to OTR News Bulletin.
On the Radio News Analysis, we go beyond the headlines. We don't just tell you what's happening. We ask why it's happening, how it affects ordinary Namibians, and what it means for the country's future. We examine the structures behind news, connect policy to people's lived realities, and bring in expert voices to make sense of where Namibia is heading.
You want to get into touch with global governance, global diplomacy, economic relation, trade, statistics, human and infrastructure development, and you want to see how policy planning and policy implementation is connected in Namibia, make time and listen to OTR from 1300 hours to 14:30 with Happy Juju.
Eagle FM, the eye.
Yeah, we are moving forward with on the Radar News Bulletin with me, David Shombe. And today we are looking at the aspect of green hydrogen, sustainable development, and also to look at where we're standing in terms of green developmental projects. It is stated that earlier today, the Namibia Child Project was unveiled by various project partners. One of them is United Nations, the Ministry of Environment, Green Hydrogen Program, and Environmental Investment Fund. Part of that conversation is to make sure that the project accelerate implementation of green policies and also promote the aspect of green hydrogen participation, capacitation, technical capacity, and also inclusive participation in the industry. So we'll be able to listen to the UN resident coordinator, that is Madam Hoplang Pololo. And from there, we'll also be joined by my colleague, that is Dwight Links, in the studio, who will be able to assist us unpacking this project and also to look at the main targets of this project, to look at the key developmental targets, and also what would be the outcome. Can it be traced? Can the progress of unveiling of this project be traced and move forward? So let us look at the communication, especially looking at the UN resident coordinator.
Our ceremonies, and very good morning to all of you. Good morning. Okay, please don't be upset with me. Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry I came a little late, had to be somewhere else, but I'm glad to be here. So thank you for your patience. Yes? And I would then like to recognize Mr. Mufeta, the Environment Commissioner from the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Libanda, the CEO of the Environment Investment Fund, Mr. Mkwenda from the Namibia Green Hydrogen Program. I would also like to recognize other representatives from the government offices, the project steering committee members, also the development partners in the room, women and youth representatives, media representatives, and of course my colleagues from UNIDO. Again, good morning. So it is a distinct honor to join you today as guest of honor at the public launch of the GEF UNIDO Namibia Child Project under the Global Clean Hydrogen Program. At the outset, I wish to acknowledge the leadership of the government of the Republic of Namibia, together with UNIDO, the Global Environmental Facility, the Environmental Investment Fund of Namibia, the Namibia Green Hydrogen Program, development partners, civil society, academia, and the private sector. I begin by acknowledging partnership, because the future being discussed today cannot be built by any institution acting alone. Too often, we speak of partnerships at the end of our discussions as though they are a supporting element. In reality, partnerships are where transformation begins. The green hydrogen economy will only succeed if government, businesses, communities, universities, training institutions, women's organizations, youth movements, and development partners are shaping it together from the very beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, Namibia stands at a defining moment in its development journey. With some of the world's best solar and wind resources, as has been mentioned, a clear national vision, political stability, and growing international interest, Namibia has an opportunity to become a leader in the emerging green hydrogen economy. But let us be clear, this transition is not ultimately about hydrogen. It is about people. It is about whether climate ambition translates into jobs. It is about whether industrialization translates into opportunity. It is about whether economic growth translates into dignity and inclusion. This morning, I had the privilege of participating in the launch of Namibia's energy sector skills strategy. That conversation reinforced an important reality. The energy transition is not only about infrastructure, technology, and investment, it is also about people, skills, and preparedness. Across the United Nations system, including through the work of the ILO, UNIDO and many partners we are supporting Namibia to prepare its workforce for the industries of the future. This project therefore forms part of a much broader national effort. While skills strategies help us understand the workforce Namibia will need tomorrow, initiatives such as the Namibia Child Project helps ensure that women, young people, and communities are able to participate meaningfully in that future. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of today's launch, Women and Youth Participation to Promote Inclusive Participation and Stakeholder Engagement, is therefore especially relevant. However, I would like us to think beyond participation as an outcome and instead view participation as a starting point. Women and young people should not enter the conversation once decisions have been made. They should be helping to shape those decisions. If women, youth, and communities are invited only after plans are finalized, participation becomes consultation. When they are engaged from the beginning, participation becomes ownership. Women must be recognized as leaders, innovators, engineers, entrepreneurs, researchers, educators, financiers, and decision makers. Young people must equally be recognized as co-creators of Namibia's future green economy. Yet, I would also like to pose a question. Are we engaging young people early enough? When we discuss youth participation, we often think about university students, graduates, internships, apprenticeships, or vocational training programs. But if green hydrogen, renewable energy, and climate technologies represent Namibia's future economy, should awareness begin only when young people are preparing to enter the labor market? How do we inspire a 13-year-old girl in Entengwa to imagine herself as a hydrogen engineer? How do we help a young boy in Broad West to understand that climate technology should become his future career? How do we introduce these emerging sectors into our schools, our science programs, and our career guidance initiatives much earlier? Perhaps we should be speaking not only about skills development, but also about aspiration development. Because before a young person acquires a skill, they first need a vision of what is possible. Ladies and gentlemen, this reflection brings me to something that immediately caught my attention when I first saw the title of this initiative. The Master of Ceremonies also mentioned. The words child project sparked my curiosity. I quickly learned, of course, that the term refers to the project's place within the broader global clean hydrogen program. But it also prompted me to think about children in a different sense. The children of today are the future beneficiaries of the decisions we make. They are the future custodians of Namibia's natural resources. They are the future scientists, technicians, policymakers, entrepreneurs, and community leaders who will determine whether this transition succeeds. It is interesting that at the UN House, we had a couple of weeks ago students from high schools, from primary schools actually, come in. And where we were talking to them about the Sustainable Development Goals. And even there, they were already talking about wanting to be engineers. So we really need to take what we are talking to the schools as well, and include that or embed that in our curriculums. So perhaps this project invites us to think more intentionally about how children and adolescents can be exposed to the ideas, values, and opportunities associated with sustainable development, renewable energy, and climate action, not simply as future workers, but as future stewards. Ladies and gentlemen, I commend the Namibia Child Project for its commitment to women and youth participation, gender-responsive monitoring, stakeholder engagement, and community awareness. These are important foundations, but leaving no one behind requires constant vigilance. It requires us to ensure that rural communities, women, young people, persons with disabilities, unemployed youth, small enterprises, and communities living near project sites have access not only to information, but also to influence. But we undertook a visit also to the Dowries Green Hydrogen Program, and it was really good to witness there how the traditional authorities are also part and parcel of that program. And what was particularly interesting was the young people who are spearheading that program as well. So I would like then to just say that a just transition must not create new inequalities while addressing existing ones. It must also consciously expand opportunity. So as we launch this important initiative, I wish to leave us with 3 reflections. Firstly, build awareness early. Let us inspire children and adolescents to see themselves in Namibia's green future. Second, create pathways into opportunity. Let us ensure women and young people can move from awareness to education, from education to skills, and from skills to decent work and entrepreneurship. Third, build trust through partnership. Communities should not merely observe this transition, they should also help to shape it. Distinguished guests, Namibia has before it a rare opportunity to link climate ambition with industrialization, innovation with inclusion, and economic transformation with human dignity. When Joseph spoke about the potential with the Climate Investment Fund, there's a door, there's an opportunity right there. So the true measure of success will not simply be the projects we launch or the investments we attract. It will be whether the young woman studying science today, the child sitting in a classroom today, and the community engaging with these developments today can all see themselves in the future we are building. Perhaps the greatest legacy of this child project will not only be the policies it strengthens or the partnerships it creates, but whether it inspires the children of today to become the custodians of Namibia's sustainable future. On behalf of the United Nations in Namibia, I reaffirm our commitment to work alongside the government and the people of Namibia to ensure that this transition advances climate action, inclusive industrial development, gender equality, decent work, youth empowerment, and sustainable development for all. And thank you for your attention.
Yeah, that was Madam Hoplong Porolo, that is resident coordinator for United Nations in Namibia. She spoke about the Child's Project that is looking at accelerating and also expanding initiatives of green economy, and also making sure that when it comes to sustainable developmental goals, the young people of Namibia are not just the onlookers, but the young people of Namibia are at the center of those industries. She spoke about the aspect of young people in Namibia having interest, especially in the area of green hydrogen, and also utilization of renewable energy, such as plenty of sunlight that we have. She asked a question that is indicating that how many Namibian people want to become or dreams of becoming green hydrogen engineers, and that is of that context. We'll be joined by my colleague Dwight Links, especially after some few minutes, especially to unpack that context. For now, let us look at a short commercial break, then we'll be able to look at FNB Namibia, especially when First National Bank is getting awards of becoming the best SME bank, and also to look at yesterday, the recognition was also on its partner, that is RMB, recognized as best custodian bank in Namibia. But for now, let's look at a short commercial break and come back shortly.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I am planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Saima, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional, and church events. And basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
Want to know about Namibia's latest business and economic news? Then look no further than The Villager newspaper. The Villager is an e-paper that is published every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for free, directly to your phone or computer. To become a subscriber, simply send a WhatsApp message with your number and email address to 081 200 4144. Be sure to save the phone number as a contact. The Villager, wherever you are.
lipuranengeno wapombwa eva tere ulikoni maondo toingida ashike kapeno nweku dite opoye ekukulile oshafafana nongeshe faili meholamo ihoetike kovano ile koshiwana onongeshe fa yapombwa kukaraya kovano okupitiramo Eagle FM otuna ebitoda njuka okukwetera oipindi konu kondado inawa nuneudo otukwetera o special ngetashake ngeshe fa omarudi dayo loka opone ushendi fenawa nokumona oijamo ili nawa ningepata fanona Monica ko Eagle FM onora tatu imwe bali heali nola natu heali bali no heali ile ko berewa nora hetatu natu bali o hetatu batatu o mafelane Eagle FM the eye.
The views and opinions expressed by our guests and callers are not those of Eagle FM and any
While
of
you are
its
busy
staff.
enjoying your lunch, while you are busy having some times from 1300 hours, take time and listen to OTR News Bulletin.
On the radio news analysis, we go beyond the headlines. We don't just tell you what's happening, we ask why it's happening, how it affects ordinary Namibians, and what it means for the country's future. We examine the structures behind news, connect policy to people's lived realities, and bring in expert voices to make sense of where Namibia is heading.
You want to get into touch with global governance, global diplomacy, economic relation, trade, statistics, human and infrastructure development, and you want to see how policy planning and policy implementation is connected in Namibia. Make time and listen to OTR from 1300 hours to 14:30 with Happy Juju.
Eagle FM, the eye.
Yeah, moving forward with on the radar news bulletin, let us look at the First National Bank. It was stated that the First National Bank was recognized as the best SME bank in Namibia. Let us listen to the head of SME, especially looking at First National Bank, especially by the name De Jong, that is the head of SME Bank at FNB, to look at this news.
Being recognized as Namibia's best SME bank is especially meaningful because it reflects the trust that entrepreneurs place in us every day. SMEs are at the heart of Namibia's economy, creating jobs, driving innovation, and strengthening communities. Our role is to provide more than financial services. We strive to be a long-term partner that helps businesses unlock opportunities, overcome challenges, and realize their ambitions. This recognition belongs as much to the entrepreneurs we serve as it does to FNB.
Yeah, that is what is happening, especially looking at FNB Namibia being recognized as best SME bank in Namibia. So before we look at the international exchange rate and also the top commodities, particularly in terms of pricing, let's look at the short commercial break. Then we'll be joined by my colleague, that is Dwight Link, especially when it comes to unpacking the discussion of Child Project, especially looking at the aspect of green energy, renewable resources, and where Namibia is standing, especially in implementation of Agenda 2030 of United Nations Sustainable Developmental Goal, particularly in the sector of energy and also in the sector of capacity building to have Namibians practically participate in energy industry. So let's look at the short commercial break and come back shortly.
lipurane ngeno wapumbwa eva tere ulikoni maondo totoingida ashike kapeno nweku dite opoye ekukulile oshafafana nongeshe faili meholamo ihoetike kovano ile koshiwana onongeshe fa yapumbwa kukaraya kovano okupitiramo Eagle FM otuna evitoda njuka okukwetera oipindi konu kondado inawa nuneudo otukwetera o special ngetashake ngeshe fa omarudi dayo loka opone ushendi fenawa nokumona oijamo ili nawa ninge kwata fanona monika ko Eagle FM onora tatu imwe mbali heali nola natu heali mbali no heali ile ko mberewa nora hetatu natu mbali o hetatu batatu o mafelane Eagle FM the eye.
The views and opinions expressed by our guests and callers are not those of Eagle FM and any
While
of
you are
its
busy
staff.
enjoying your lunch, while you are busy having some times from 1300 hours, take time and listen to OTR News Bulletin.
On the radio news analysis, we go beyond the headlines. We don't just tell you what's happening, we ask why it's happening, how it affects ordinary Namibians, and what it means for the country's future. We examine the structures behind news, connect policy to people's lived realities, and bring in expert voices to make sense of where Namibia is heading.
You want to get into touch with global governance, global diplomacy, economic relation, trade, statistics, human and infrastructure development, and you want to see how policy planning and policy implementation is connected in Namibia. Make time and listen to OTR from 1300 hours to 14:30 with. Yeah, dear listeners, we are moving forward with On the Radar News Bulletin. It's 44 minutes past the hour of 1. As I indicated, today in the studio, I'm joined by my colleague, that is Dwight Ling, to help us unpack this conversation, especially in relation to what the UNRC spoke about, capacitating Namibian young people to partake in the green industry, and also in terms of partnership for real economic development. But for now, let's look at USAVE and come back shortly. Yeah, we'll be able to look at the commercial break, then we'll look at the conversation for today. So stay tuned. We'll come back shortly.
You have to replay it. Just replay it.
Efiloshisho utalikulandulako nave wayuka ekwashilipaleko lomarwendo paiwano kupitila mo NHP ohatupateleko mesho ekwashilipaleko lafika mafio $1 emiliona omulongo da Namibia moshilyo shetu keshe kuyanja omakwafo unamiti enashana efiloshisho lopaulumo mumbu kwavo velipo nje yoshilongo shilyo shitopolwa sho ijo yetu tashiningwa inapawe banando ishoshela yasha opo umone yakulo lo police moule o minute editionaelela lishangifako nhp.com.na omanga ino ya morwendo ponje yoshilongo emango malandula fano ododino kulandurwa NHP rooted in care for you.
Your health, your life, your peace of mind. NHP, we're about you.
Yeah, Dwight Links, good afternoon and welcome to OTR. How are you doing?
I'm good, David, and welcome to the listeners. Once again, good afternoon, guys, here on the Radar.
Yeah, let us look at the reflection of what's happening, what was happening today, especially regarding unveiling of Charles Project. What was the content of the conversation? We heard from UNRC, but I want to get your perspective, particularly looking at this project. Was it like any other project, or we have traceability of it looking into the future? How is the level of commitment between partners? Let's start there.
Well, in terms of, since this is a launch of this particular program, the much of the particular emphasis, David, was in terms of saying, let's not just launch a thing to say, to tick a box somewhere.
Yeah.
Because from the UN resident Pororo, Madam Pororo's her particular contribution was that it helps to show that you've got to emphasize community involvement. So yes, this was obviously now an event launched in Windhoek, definitely.
Yeah.
But the dimension that is now coming into play here is that it's now projects that are green industry related that have to participate. So when we say green industry related, we're citing a discussion specifically of, let's say, there's a project, let's say in Gobabis, that is a community, it's a community garden that feeds a soup kitchen or something like that.
Yeah.
That, and since it aims to assist with, the needy in that community, that's now something that probably has to say, hey, listen, let's we've got this green perspective, possibly involve us in this discussion.
Yeah.
Now, at the heart of it, we heard child or children, that aspect.
Yeah.
Now, the downside is it now also depends on which kind of projects are allowed. Now, I gave obviously of an example. It's just a pretty straightforward example, but it's it's an example that has to be positioned within the green industrial trends.
Yeah.
with you don't have to lean back there.
Yeah.
So within the green industrial trends. So now this could be something. Let's, for example, say they might be chopping down trees for the firewood at that kitchen, at that community kitchen, which is anti-green. The whole emphasis now forms part of this new perspective, obviously, of transitioning to a green industrial landscape. Policies that have to align with what people are doing on the ground. The biggest concern would be obviously monitoring, tracking, tracing, evaluation afterwards, corrective action in between. Because here's the thing, David, I can tell you off the top of my head, there's a few communities in this country that probably don't know that Namibia is in a green transition.
Indeed. Now, while we are there, somebody may want to ask to say, what is new into this project? I see the relevance of it, but I see, is that not a duplication of what we have been doing, or just made to accelerate? Are these same partners, are they not existing in various projects, particularly regarding the green industry? Or there is a level of uniqueness, particularly to a child project?
Yeah. So the level of uniqueness obviously now has to speak about how to achieve community buy-in. And you obviously also asked about duplication, duplication of efforts. So the guy that was present, obviously the listeners didn't have an opportunity to hear, because obviously it might have looked, this segment might have looked like a complete Minister of Environment, UNIDO, EIF discussion. The key thing that came from the other people that were speaking at this particular event was that Namibia has to prove how from the grassroots level, the community level, up to the highest echelons in governance and business, that there is this holistic transition. And this holistic transition has to speak towards basically meaning, let's say, for example, that community kitchen I mentioned in Kobabas. That community kitchen is buying, let's say, for example, a fertilizer that's made with green ammonia, produced in Namibia. So there's a value chain. Not using firewood, slash and burn the scorched earth situation like we see in other communities in the country, but one that shows a green transition, meaning having the environment at heart, trying to, the chemicals that you use are chemicals that don't harm water tables or the soil structures, and even microorganisms and small animals for that matter, but it actually has this continuous benefit just rolling on. Now, so sorry, David, before you get there. The main thing that points to this is technically the budgeting that Namibia is getting from UNIDO. Because at the heart of this, they technically had to impress UNIDO.
You actually read my mind. I wanted to come there to say, in terms of Namibian policies at a national level, are we impressing somebody outside first before you look at what our people need? I'm asking this question because...
Which is what Pororo said.
anytime there is a communication from the outside, we are here to run. When the world say run green, we are all running, which is not a problem. When Financial Action Task Force said accelerate, that is the only level of acceleration that we have accelerated than any other policy changes.
But internally, when we ask for acceleration...
But is that really for us? Is the Namibian part coming out, or is only at an international level? When you look at that discussion, what element of Namibianization, if I had to put it that way, in that conversation?
It's a good thing, David, you highlighted the acceleration dimension, because this is the second time. On the previous scenario, actually, it's the third scenario. So you mentioned FATF acceleration. Remember when we had former Minister Dowsap as Minister of Justice? She also had to fast track a whole bunch of law changes, law amendments, and stuff like that. Remember those things? But one of the things that was also championed was there was an act. Now, I always reference this act, and I love referencing this act. It's the act that was used in the 2008 and the 2012 election disputes, where at that time the opposition parties took, the ECN and the ruling party.
Was it RDP at that time?
RDP, yes, and COD at the time. In both scenarios, because the two of them were like the lead political opposition parties that were going to the electoral court for both disputes that they called a dispute. The act that was used to throw both court cases out in both scenarios after both presidential elections
Yeah.
was known as the Electronic Devices Act at the time. It was a 1985 act, David,
Yeah.
that was used by the judges at the time to throw out the claims and the COI cases brought. That act, David, that act has now been converted to the Electronic Transactions Act, which helps the Bank of Namibia and the commercial banks basically to protect online purchases of Namibians when we buy, let's say you buy from Alibaba or from AliExpress or from those, global e-commerce platforms. That was a fast tracking number one.
Yeah.
And that was technically in line with an FATF scenario. Because remember, FATF's particular threat of grey listing began in 2023, coming this way.
Yeah.
In 2023, we also had to now accelerate discussions with the EU, because the EU looks at that FATF, which is a Bretton Woods joint multilateral organization facility, the FATF, because the World Bank and the IMF are part of it.
I hear you.
So then the EU has its own labeling mechanism, like we already know.
I read the communication, and people don't read between the lines. I wanted to get the thing that is saying we remove you from ours.
Yeah.
I wanted to get that thing.
Which is only at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So Namibia is only going to, because of we achieving in last month, or is it in the month of May, we achieving all compliance measures with the FATF's requirements.
Yeah.
The EU will only review us and remove us at the end of the year.
My question is, why are we so much concerned in being graded? We celebrate so much being ranked, but the question is still coming, the one that I asked to say, where is the part of Namibianization to say, are the Namibian pushing this agenda? Do we really see the development coming so fast, especially from this in the green industry, or is more from international level perspective? That is, Dwight, you are doing very well when it comes to
It's actually both.
Yeah.
But let's put the international one first
Yeah.
before the Namibianization one, like you said, the local participation.
Yeah.
I mentioned this, David, because there was a if you look at the green hydrogen idea overall, it's an EU idea.
Yeah.
People must just understand it's not a President Hage idea.
Yeah.
It's not a James Mnupe idea.
Yeah.
It's not who else was also lead in this. But it's not it's not an Obert Kanjode idea.
Yeah.
It's an EU idea, because the EU were the first ones to talk about it in documentation.
Yeah.
Namibia was not the first one. Namibia is the prime location.
Yeah.
Like what some of the speakers today said. Namibia is the prime location.
Yeah.
Above Togo, above Tanzania. Now, just to come back. So, we basically had to convince people, listen, you probably are seeking a way to decouple from Russian oil and gas.
Yeah.
And then the EU said, yeah, Namibia, that's wonderful of you. And then they said, hey, listen, we've been juggling this idea of how to find a clean, stable, abundant resource versus oil and gas. What do you say? And then Namibia probably said, hey, come and assess us. And we were, do you know that we were assessed during 2020, during COVID, by the EU as being this developing world example?
No, I see all the communication to say we are going to be a hub. Everything is going to be a hub, a trade hub, green hydrogen hub, oil.
We're gonna be everything. David, we're gonna be the flagship for the EU. You remember those kids in primary school, the kids that were always the teacher's pets, the ones that were deemed like, this kid is always doing everything right.
Yeah.
Assignments are always number one.
Yeah.
We are going to be, we are literally that child.
Yes,
in the classroom.
Dwight, just 1 minute. One key thing that you really think that it's not going to be fair to leave it without mentioning it, particularly looking at this project.
If we look at this particular discussion, David, it's a scenario of the time frame.
Yeah.
It's a scenario of also involvement. It's a scenario also of what is Namibia's actual buy-in into this overall green industries. I'll mention this now, which we actually highlighted just off camera and off mic before you stepped in, was primarily the resident coordinator, Madam Proro, had to come from another similar green skills event to come.
I listened to what she
this
said.
one
Yeah.
for a green skills event here, which also highlights, which factors back into your other question of how
Coordination,
how do we
yeah.
coordination, how do we coordinate these particular
Yeah,
messaging? So
yeah.
that's the particular key thing.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dwight. I think the aspect of institutional coordination, we'll still have to engage with it. But thank you for information and thank you for input.
100%.
Yeah, that was my colleague Dwight Ling, especially looking at what has been happening, especially today, and also looking at the sector of green hydrogen, and also some of the new developments. So let us look at World Cup. What happened last night? What happened last night? It was not only shocking, but it also showed that Argentina still have capacity. Where you have Egypt has been leading 1-0 from the first half, then scored a second goal. However, the comeback of Argentina has indicated that there is much power from 79 minutes until extra time. Argentina managed to defeat Egypt 3-2, and that will bring the end of round of 16. But looking at quarterfinals, who are the guys who are standing for quarterfinal? Who are ready for quarterfinal? You have tomorrow, you have France versus Morocco. Then you also have on Friday Spain and Belgium. Quarterfinal, that will be on Saturday. We have Norway and England, and Argentina versus Switzerland. From there, the team that are going to win throughout the weekend, they will face each other at semi-final. Then by the end of next week, we'll be about to conclude the World Cup. From me, David Shombe, bye-bye for now. See you around, and enjoy your afternoon.
My friend, why do you seem so worried?
Ace, I am planning an event for next weekend, and I don't know how to best get people to hear about it.
Saim, don't worry about those small things. Contact Eagle FM today. Eagle FM has a dedicated team that can travel anywhere countrywide to broadcast live at any event, such as a promotion, organizational launch, anniversary, wedding, funeral, political or traditional, and church events. And basically any event that you wish to broadcast on a national level. Call them now and talk to Monica at 081 270 3727 or the office number 083 2888 400. Eagle FM, the eye.
Want to know about Namibia's latest business in